Did you realize that only 10% of an iceberg is actually viewable above the waterline? That means 90% of what really matters goes entirely unnoticed by most people. Successful entrepreneurs understand this concept and they use it to their advantage.
This is The Rare Advisor, proud to be a part of the Advisor Advancement Network and home of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. Your host is Mike Walters, CEO of USA Financial. He is an investment advisor representative of, and securities are offered through USA Financial Securities, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, in January of 2022, news broke about Blackberry shutting down their services for the old original Blackberry handheld smartphones. You remember the Crackberry, they used to call it, because they really pioneered corporate America being able to connect easily and interact on email through a mobile device with a small little keyboard. And that was kind of the beginning of the smartphones. And then obviously we know that Apple came in as a dominant player, changed the game in terms of what a smartphone looks like, how it acts, eliminating the keyboard, so on and so forth. And everybody kind of just assumes that BlackBerry fell by the wayside. And to a certain degree, at least in terms of that public eye, they definitely did. And in fact, January of 2022, they are discontinuing all legacy services for that set of legacy phones that have existed. But what that really got me thinking about is something called the Iceberg Illusion. And if you're not familiar with the Iceberg Illusion, it's an important business concept to understand. And the general idea is that, as you may be well aware, only 10% of an iceberg is viewable above the water. The other 90% is out of view. It is behind the scenes. It's backstage, if you will, in terms of business perspective. It is below the waterline. So the iceberg illusion, the concept is that what the general public sees and what they understand about you as a person, or in this discussion, about your business, is probably very, very little. And honestly, that's actually a really powerful concept, because all of what's going on beneath the waterline, so to speak, all of your systems and your processes and your tools and your intellect and all these things that are not directly front-facing client, that are not viewable by your competition, those are the things that make you so successful. Generally speaking, the end result, the pretty end product that we see, that's not where the work is getting done. The magic happens below the waterline. And if you have a strong iceberg type practice, meaning there is a lot going on beneath the waterline, there is an immense amount of systems and processes in place so that what's above the waterline is ultra successful, that's when you know you have a business that can't be knocked off easily by your competition. If you've got nothing below the waterline, you don't really have a practice. What you have is a job. You're just your own boss. You're a sole proprietor. You're not running a business. You're not truly running a practice in the sense that you have these systems and processes in place. You have all of this that builds and protects you as a business. So let's go back to BlackBerry for just a moment. Now, I just grabbed some of this off of their website. It's literally blackberry.com if you want to go take a look at some of this. But in January, as I mentioned, they're discontinuing those legacy services for the BlackBerry smartphone, I guess you'd call it. But what I didn't realize is that BlackBerry has reinvented itself. They have a lot going on beneath the waterline. Now, I have not researched BlackBerry. I'm not telling you to go invest in BlackBerry. I'm not telling you that they're more successful today than they were then. I haven't gone into all of that, but they definitely have some things going on. So here's what CNN Money said about them. It's time to get the image of people in the late 90s frantically typing on their Crackberries out of your head. That's BlackBerry's past. Software and services that BlackBerry makes for other companies is its future, and it looks like a bright one. So interesting that they're promoting the concept that BlackBerry is doing quite well, because in the media, you would assume they're not, and visually, because those BlackBerries are not in circulation any longer, people are assuming the worst. Here's just some quick facts that I pulled from their website. In 2021, they had over 2,000 new patents granted to their company, BlackBerry. BlackBerry Ivy, which must be a product of theirs, was named a market leader in automotive and smart cities by Frost & Sullivan. Their recurring software product revenue is approximately 80% of their overall revenue. So think like we think in this industry in terms of assets under management and fee revenue, that recurring revenue, it's great to have a large volume of recurring revenue. 80% of their revenue apparently is recurring. And then in terms of customers, all 7 of the G7 governments and 18 of the G20 governments across the globe are their customers, and 45 of the Fortune 100 companies are their customers. So again, BlackBerry apparently has quite a bit going on beneath the waterline in terms of the Iceberg Illusion. The question is, what do you have going on beneath your waterline? Now, we spend an immense amount of time helping people with this at USA Financial. It's kind of a passion, a calling for us to help coach, mentor, and build a practice so that it can secure an ongoing growth pattern. Whether there's pandemics happening or not, our advisors have been growing quite nicely. And a lot of it has to do with them building out what's going on below the waterline so that they can be successful above the waterline in terms of the Iceberg Illusion. I hope that helps you, and we'll be back talking again soon.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.